The legend of CúChulainn draws some similarities to some of the well-known Greek legends such as Hercules and Achilles, for CúChulainn, like them, was born of a god father and a mortal mother. His life is filled with many great stories of his great and heroic exploits, and is personally one of my own favourite ancient Irish heroes. Though one of the most retold stories of CúChulainn's life is not one of his many great battles, but it is simply the story of how he got his name, CúChulainn. For you see, when he was born, he was originally given the name Setanta. One day, a young Setanta declared to his mother that he wished to join the boy troop at Emain Macha, with his main goal to one day become a knight of the Red Branch of the Ulster king, Conchobar. But at just 7 years old, his mother would not allow it, for he was of course too young. Disobeying his mother's wishes, Setanta sets off on his own to achieve his dreams. And when he eventually arrived at Emain Macha, he saw the group of boys playing a game of hurling in the field, and hurling was Setanta's favourite sport. With excitement, he grabbed his own hurley which he carried with him and raced onto the pitch without warning and without asking permission. However, on his own, young Setanta, rushing the field of play, intercepted the Sliotar, that's the name of the ball they used to play hurling, avoided all incoming tackles from boys twice his age and size, and scored a goal. The boys of Emain Macha were furious, for they held a custom that while they played, no other could join without asking both permission and protection from them. Taking this young child's interference in their game as a challenge, all of them began to gang up on Setanta and attack him. However, little did they know that though Setanta seemed younger and smaller than they were, he was in fact abnormally strong for his age, and single-handedly fought back and held off the group of attackers, beating all of them. The Ulster king Conchobar, who was present to oversee the training of the Emain Macha boys, and was seeking potential new recruits to his Red Branch Knights, saw the commotion on the field and quickly put a stop to the fight. He explained the custom to Setanta, who then apologised to the other boys for being unaware of it, and agreed to ask to be put under their protection so that he might join in their game. However, no sooner had it been granted to him, but Setanta then begins to chase and beat the other boys once more, demanding that they also agree to be put under his own protection. Of course, they too did agree to his terms. As Conchobar continues to watch and enjoy the game of hurling on display, he is reminded that he was invited to a feast at the house of the great blacksmith Chulainn later that evening. But before he departs, he is so impressed by Setanta's strength and skill that he invites the young boy to join him and his knights to the feast. Setanta happily accepts, but asks that he be allowed to finish the hurling game first, and that he would follow their trail afterwards to join them. Conchobar agrees, and readies to depart for the feast himself. On arriving at the house of Chulainn, King Conchobar becomes lost in the hospitality of his hosts and in the great atmosphere of the feast, that when Chulainn asks him if he might be expecting anyone else to join them, or that if his men were now all present, Conchobar had forgotten about the young Setanta, and states that no more men are expected to follow. With this, Chulainn then locks his doors and sets loose his large and ferocious wolf-hound guard dog outside, so that nobody would be able to interrupt in the great feast. Setanta, on his way to join the feast, and unaware of the danger that awaited him, approached the house of Chulainn, and the hound let out an almighty howl and beastly barks as it charged the young boy it saw as an intruder. Setanta had no weapons with which to defend himself, save for his hurley and a Sliotar. Without hesitation, he smashed the Sliotar with his hurley as hard as he could, sending it flying towards the charging hound. His strike was also very accurate, as the Sliotar went straight into the beast's open mouth and down its jaws and throat, stopping it in its tracks. On hearing the loud and thunderous sounds of the hounds, howls and barks, Conchobar then remembered about the young boy he had invited to join them who was to follow. He quickly left the feast and burst through the doors to the outside, expecting to see that the giant hound was having a feast of its own on the flesh of the young boy. But to everyone's surprise, the sight that greeted them on the outside was that of Setanta, standing over the dead guard dog. Chulainn was upset. This was the finest guard dog in all of Ireland. Who would now protect his home and lands? Setanta, the one responsible for the hound's death, steps forward and declares that until a new pup can be raised and trained, he would serve Chulainn in its place. It was then that Setanta was given a new name, CúChulainn, meaning the Hound of Chulainn. This is the name that he would carry with him for the rest of his days. Shortly afterwards, it is then prophesied by a druid that CúChulainn would have everlasting fame. However, his life would also be short. Yet in those years, CúChulainn would have many great battles and forge many a remembered tale, right up to his eventual death, which would bring him to this standing stone. Though, that, my friends, is a tale for another video.